Alright, someone asked a couple days ago or so about. They're like, well, I got a level that's not using PBR terrain paints, and I want to convert it. Well, at the moment in version .27, the cliffs, the cliff level, it's not PBR yet. So I'm gonna move it. I was messing with it earlier. I'm gonna move this folder out of here so that when I load the game, it'll load the original cliff, and I'll show you what all's involved. Now, since this is a unique level, it's a developer level, the textures and everything for the cliff, they are in the user. I'm sorry, they're in the install location in the Steam library, Steam apps, common, BeamNG drive, content levels, and there'll be a zip file for cliff. Um, I thought I already extracted this onto my desktop. Let me see. I was pretty sure it did. May have to get it again. Looks like way. So, in the Steam library, Steam apps, common, BeamNG drive, content levels, cliff. This is where all of its stuff is stored. So, like the terrain. So I'm going to just extract this onto the desktop. See, I thought it was already on here. I don't see it. Maybe I look in the wrong place. Ah, there it is. So these are the terrains that come with cliff. So you may have your own level. You may not have a developer level. You may made your own, converted yours, and you're wanting to make the change to PBR. What you have to keep in mind is before you could have all different resolutions for all these different maps, and it did not matter. They could be, some could be 1024, some could be 512, some could be 256. I mean, they all could depend. They could all vary a great deal. So we'll load up the cliff, and before anything is switched over, so you can see how it looks. And this is probably likely how your level is going to look. We'll just load the beach. When you go to your terrain tools, you'll see that option to upgrade to PBR. So I've made videos on PBR, but not really converting something like this to PBR that's already made, that's a non-PBR. So it's not that difficult, really. Let's find whatever one that is. So we can just make that one an example. It might be, well, it could be that, but that's not the one I'm looking for. Rocky dirt. Rock. Okay. So if we go to rock and we go into the terrain material library over here, we go to rock. We see it just uses a macro, a detail, and normal. Now every texture's different. How one diffuse map they use, well, like for theirs, they basically, for their diffuse map, they use an overhead of the entire screenshot looking down at the thing. You know, it's like this here, basically. As well, this is what it is. It's an overhead of the name. That's what they use. All right, but say this is what you want to. You want to just use the same stuff. That's fine. That's the easiest thing to do. So this is going to become the base map then, and the macro um, in detail. Well, we'll keep things simpler. We're only going to use one of these. We'll use the detail map. So that detail map is rock 5-D. Let's load it into here. This one here. This happens to be a 1024 by 1024 map. Which we can leave it at that, or we can just you know what? Let's scale it to 4096 by 4096. I know it doesn't look that good like that, but just remember now you can't use DDS. You got to use PNG. So what you can do once you got your level loaded, if it's a developer level, you likely already have saved something and you have a user folder. But if not, and you want to convert their stuff to PBR, but surely you already have done this. If not, save it so that you have a user folder of the level that has your changes. Now, I don't work out of a folder like this. I mean, I do, but I have the entire level converted so that everything's in one folder, and it's not pulling resources from 5 different places. Everything's like self-contained in one thing. So like I'd have like this Utah too in levels. Everything is in here. So if that's the case with you or not the case, it doesn't matter. If you hit save level, it'll create a user folder. You're just going to run into hell later if you try to combine this with the zipped location to create one big thing. You have a lot of problems. But that's not what this video is about. This is about converting that terrain paint. So now that we got this established, we'll save this file as a PNG. And because you got so many more things you can do with the PBR, if it's a 4K texture, just put something in here like 4K so you know. It gets confusing pretty quickly. And put like a D for diffuse. Alright. No, you dummy. Not DDS, PNG. Now, I don't use compression either. I don't want it to look even worse, so I take the compression off. And basically all these terrain paints are basically like making a ham sandwich where you're going to have lettuce, tomato, or pickle, or onion. You know, it doesn't matter. You can have different things on different layers, and that's kind of how these terrain paints are for PBR. You got these different layers now, and you got different things you can have in different ones, where before everything just shared the same thing basically. Now everything's got its own thing. So we're going to load up the normals for this. And in this case, it is, this is actually it here. So we're going to pull it into here. And we're going to also have to scale this one to 4K. Oh, no, not like that. Scale 4K. Now this will be the normals for that same conversion. Alright, so in the levels for the cliff and the art terrain, we will save this. I'm going to put a little 4K in there. You don't have to put that, but help you keep them organized. Alright, now I'd like dummy. I close the other one out of here. Let me load it back. And I think I saved it in the wrong folder. Export as. Yeah, I put it in the wrong place. Levels, cliff, art, terrain, and this will be the diffuse map. Now don't go nowhere, because we're gonna make this a grayscale, and we're gonna re-export it. But this time we're gonna put a little letter R for roughness. And now we're going to invert it. And put a letter A just for ambient occlusion. Which we're going to also double this and use this as the height map. But you don't have to resave it twice. We'll just load that in. So let's go over here. So here is the big change that you make when you upgrade your terrain materials. And you say upgrade. This is what you got to decide on. And let's go ahead and update that. So you got to decide your base texture size. Now, like I said about the ham sandwich, you can think of the base texture as the bread was on the outside. The macro and detail, well, you can think of them as the ham and think of them as the cheese. You know, they all go together on different layers. But you can eat just bread. Or you can eat just ham, or just eat just the cheese. You can have just basically any one. But whatever you decide, this is what you got to make universal for all of them, is the resolution. So since I made that 4K, that's what I'm putting here. And the macro and detail I'm not getting into in this video. But you would decide that too here. So, looking over here, you got these 5 things. So you knew from the beginning we resaved the normal map. So let's just load that one into here. So we'll navigate the cliff to the art terrains. And you'll want to copy this to your clipboard, because you're going to get tired of having to re-navigate to it. So, where's the normal at? That ain't it. There it is. There it is. So that's the base texture for the normals. The base texture is the very first image. It's that one that is just the color one, basically. Oh, and if you accidentally put the wrong resolution, you'll just get a black texture. If any of these are wrong, you'll just get a black texture. Oh, I should say, at bare minimum, let's take the normal out. At bare minimum, you can get by with just the base color and the ambient occlusion. If you're not into all the others, you don't care about all that other stuff. You just want to have just a single color on the ground. Then just do the one of the grayscales, like that one that we made a grayscale from that color map. And you'll want to change the scale, because probably, if you're doing like this particular texture, probably 16 or 32 would be good. But just save your changes. And then over here, well, you can already see it updated. If we get up closer, yeah, you can see that wherever this terrain paint was painted, it updated it. Alright, so that's the bare minimum. Now if you want to have normals, which is what gives it that 3D look, then the bare minimum will be normals with roughness and height. All 3 of the others. So base texture, let's just stick that normals in there. And roughness. And height. Which I'm just reusing the ambient occlusion for the height. And sometimes I'll switch the ambient occlusion with the roughness, but we'll save the changes now and you'll see a drastic change in how this looks. And that's just the base material. You still got a macro and a detail that you can add to it. But that's not, you haven't defined that here yet unless you're going to use a 64K image. I mean 64 by 64. Usually, you know, and a lot of the other levels, like these are like half. Like these will be 2048 by 2048. I mean, it doesn't, you don't have to follow that, but you can. But I'm not doing these today. This is just the simplest way just to convert just one texture. And keep in mind, you know, your texture may be made differently. Your ham sandwich may have a different slice of colored cheese on it. So what may work here may not work so well with the other. For example, this, you know what? Let's get some good grass. I got some 4K grass on the desktop. I'm going to move into there. I just move, I just move all these into here. I mean, you probably will find that, you know, it's quicker to just make a new terrain paint than it is to try to rescale all these to be the size that you need them to be. Because you likely are like me, you probably had a lot of different resolutions already. That's why I didn't convert one of mine, because I was like, man, that's too much work. It's quicker to just say new material. And so, like, I'll just call this like new grass, for example. And give it a ground model of grass. And then once you add it, you'll be able to see it in this list. You can then add to it. So we'll go back to where that other folder is, and we'll just put this new grass in here that I got out of the other folder. Did I put it in the right place? Damn it. No, I didn't. Somehow, it's not where it needs to be. I put it in this folder. No? Well, shit. Where did it go? No idea what I did. Alright, so this new grass, base texture, and these are already pre-made at 4096 by 4096. So here's the detail. I'm sorry, the diffuse, the normal, the roughness, and yeah, proper grayscale will look red in here, by the way. meaning it's actually grayscale and you saved it as a black and white and it's not an actual RGB. And height. I wouldn't even know how to make a height map based off of an image. I mean, I could in Blender. It's a pain in the ass to do that. Let's add this new grass and let's paint it on here and see how it looks. So you'll be like thinking, wow, that's some big grass there. Yeah, forgot this needs to be scaled down. And of course, this has ground cover also, this level. So if you were to go to ground cover and pull up like their grass, for example, and go to the inspector, um, the types, it says layer grass. Um, that's the name of the terrain paint that you want it on. So if you want it on in addition to this, it's like they already have it on a few, but like there's nothing here. So we'll make this one the new grass. I just gotta make sure that I use capital letters and not. No, it's all lowercase. New grass. Probability 1. And already you see the new grass on the new grass. Or you see the grass on the new grass. Which doesn't look too bad. And of course you got all the other ground models you can throw in there. And now see, probability is how much it will appear, or the chance that it appears. And then you can have different sizes for all these different ones. There's a lot of settings you can actually change in there. But you can see how you can kind of quickly integrate a new terrain paint into here. I can't think really nothing else. If you have any questions, let me know. But yeah, it's probably a lot easier to just make new terrain materials, in my opinion, than to try to change the resolutions for all those. I mean, it's not that big a deal, but it just depends on how much time you want to spend on it. I just don't have much patience for stuff like that. Just look at that. If you had to convert all that, which a lot of these are like, for some reason, I don't know why yet, but like when I make a new material, there's like 5 or 6 copies of it in here with like these extra numbers on it. I don't know why that happens. It seems to happen when you convert to PBR, but I don't know why. You just don't load them into here. I mean, you'll see them into here, and see them in here. And I have gone through the trouble of going into the in here and actually removing all those extra ones that, for whatever reason, are popping up in here. Which for some reason they're not in here now, or are they? I don't know. I can't tell. Maybe they are, maybe they ain't. Maybe they're in this one. I don't know, folks. Don't know why they're all in there. Yeah, but they're there. Just ignore them.